Kentucky Congressman James Comer, who you saw in Kevin's piece, ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman, you've been on our show for the better part of a year, detailing and outlining the charges against Hunter Biden, the connection to the Biden family, the connections to Joe Biden. But the claims in Kevin's piece are next level. This is the next step. They are extremely damning. Do they lead to the impeachment of Joe Biden?
Well, we're just going to continue to investigate and go where the investigation takes us. Look, Joe Biden lied to the American people about having any knowledge of Hunter's shady business dealings. Not only did he have knowledge, he was actively engaged in setting up meetings, in taking phone calls, in agreeing to be an equity partner in some very shady business deals. So Joe Biden, at the very least, has been dishonest with the American people. And we need to realize whether or not this administration's compromised because of Hunter's shady business dealings. So the purpose of our investigation moving forward in January, when we become the majority and I have subpoena power, is to determine whether or not Joe Biden is in fact compromised because of his family's shady business dealings, his family's influence peddling with our adversaries over the past decade.
Yeah, whether it's compromised or selfish choices just to make money, we don't know yet. But one of the biggest things that you are focusing on is the Biden family and their dealings with the energy sector. I think about all that President Biden has done to hamstring fossil fuels in this country, and you've highlighted in your investigation and a lot on TV the fact that President Biden just a few years ago and through his son Hunter were working with the Chinese Communist Party so that they could have a greater stranglehold on American energy. I mean, just think about that.
Yeah. To me, yesterday, the biggest bombshell allegation was the evidence that we provided that showed that Hunter Biden had a PowerPoint presentation. It was a map of the United States of all the major natural gas distributors across the United States. The map was in Chinese, and it was a presentation that his company, Hudson West, was making to the Chinese energy company, CEFC, on a plan for China to be able to go in and start purchasing American liquefied natural gas and start taking ownership in the drillers for natural gas in the United States. So think about this. At a time when Americans are suffering from high energy prices because of Joe Biden's terrible energy policies, we now learn that he was actively engaged with his shyster son in trying to help the Chinese come in and start taking over the American energy industry. People are outraged over China buying farmland in the Dakotas, and now we find out that the president of the United States was trying to help China take ownership of American energy. I mean, this is something that should outrage every American. This is why we're investigating Joe Biden.
And Congressman, and just this week, he was meeting with Xi Jinping trying to push climate change on everybody. I mean, it's unbelievable. Todd, do you have your next question?
Yeah, and literally, if there's one individual in the entire country who should not be facilitating China, it is the president of the United States. So to the extent that these claims are proven true by you and your committee, it's going to be extremely damning, and the consequences are going to be massive. Meantime, got to get your thoughts on this. Speaker Pelosi says she's standing down as the leader of the House Democrats in the new Congress. She says a new generation of leadership is needed for her party, but I want you to listen to her going away statement. I think something's missing. Listen.
I have enjoyed working with 3 presidents, achieving historic investments in clean energy with President George Bush, transformative health care reform with President Barack Obama, and forging the future from infrastructure to health care to climate action with President Joe Biden.
Granted, Carly and I are pretty tired, but I'm pretty sure that neither of us heard the name Donald Trump in there. Will Donald Trump continue to live rent-free in Nancy Pelosi's head, even though she's no longer leading the Democrats?
Well, I think we all have seen over the past 6 years now that the Democrats are obsessed with Donald Trump. They investigated him the entire 4 years he was president, and now 2 years later, they're still investigating him. So, I didn't shed any tears with that speech yesterday that Nancy Pelosi gave. I do wish her well, but look, I think that her policies will go down in history as being very damaging to the American people, especially with the spending and the amount of debt that we've piled up unnecessarily in the United States, but I do wish her well in her retirement as Speaker of the House.
Congressman, real quick before we let you go, what's your reaction to Hakeem Jeffries possibly stepping up and taking her position? He's very progressive.
He's even further to the left than Nancy Pelosi, and that's the problem with the Democrat Party. That's why the Democrat Party in Kentucky is almost non-existent now. Their leaders get further and further to the left. That's why the labor unions are now coming to the Republican Party. A lot of traditional Democrat groups, blue-collar groups in America, have just gotten fed up with the liberal social policy of the Democrat Party, and this is further proof that the Democrat Party's been taken over by the far left.
Congressman Comer, thank you so much for joining us on this Friday morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.